Demings.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your endurance. Thank you for your tolerance. Increase in domestic terrorism attacks against religious institutions, bomb threats, and other threats against America's children at historically black colleges and universities, victims of severe storms still waiting for assistance, the need for more resources at the border. Mr. Secretary, unlike my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I'm actually concerned about all of it. I'm upset about all of it. I don't just pick and choose winners and losers based on the politics of the day. All of the things on the list that I just mentioned, we all need to be concerned and need to come together to address them. When there's a lot of talk about the border, I was looking at something in 1970 where it was determined the nation's immigration policy was in disarray. That is the word that they use. So today's problem is not new, but the political games that I think that we are experiencing have taken a new low. It took 60 pages, 60, to basically give instructions that we don't really want to do anything. Mr. Secretary, I know you know, as a former police chief, I do want to hold people accountable who break the law, but I want to hold them accountable at the border. I want to hold them accountable on our streets. I want to hold them accountable if they exist in this body. There's been a lot of talk about protecting the American people. That is our primary responsibility, but in this document, I only see the American people addressed one time. Mr. Secretary, the sky would be the limit. We could do great things on behalf of protecting the American people if this body would take 1 minute to get its act together. And that is my prayer for the time that I am here, is that this body will live up to its oath and its responsibility and get its act together, because one day of theater has not protected, not one American citizen. So, Mr. Secretary, I want to talk about an issue that is very important in addition to a lot of others to my constituents, and that involves USCIS and the processing of applications. I get calls from constituents, from people in my district daily about how long it takes for them to receive their employment authorization documents. And just for the sake of the people on the other side of the aisle, let me just make this clear, that these are people who are here legally, have followed all the rules, and still suffer because of a failure to process their applications in a timely manner. So, Mr. Secretary, could you please let us know what the department is doing to address these significant delays in processing these employment applications?
Congresswoman, thank you very much. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, as I've mentioned earlier, was on the brink of bankruptcy. And the personnel of that agency are actually doing heroic work despite a significant backlog created by what occurred in the prior administration. And what we are focused on is resourcing that agency with personnel so that we can work through the backlog and address the benefits for which people have applied and, if eligible, to which they are entitled. And funding is a critical component of our ability to resource the agency, which is why we are working as quickly as possible to issue a new fee rule that will recalibrate the fee applications according to the costs associated with them. That is the way we will fund that agency primarily, and the President's budget for fiscal year 2023 also requests appropriated funds for certain positions so that we can address certain responsibilities in the jurisdiction of that agency.
Could you talk a little bit about staffing for processing those applications? How were your staff increased?
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The witness can answer the question.
So we need to increase that staffing significantly, Congresswoman, and I can provide you with specific data. Depending on the particular immigration benefit category, we've calibrated the needs.
I would like that. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary.
The gentlelady yields back. Mr. Roy.